I know what you're probably thinking. Look at this swimmer crushing a workout somewhere beautiful. In reality, that's just me, who barely knows how to swim, freezing my butt off and trying to survive 100 meters because I just signed up for an Olympic distance triathlon in 7 weeks, and I am yet to figure out how to swim a mile, bike 25, and run 10K after all of that. This week, my main goal was to do something that scared me, and that was going for an open water swim. If I'm being honest with you all, I've always been pretty afraid of swimming. I used to routinely fail swim tests as a child, and if I did pass them, it was a near drowning experience. So getting out in the open water and working on my stroke is something that I've been avoiding for probably the better part of 2 decades. And I have made some progress since then, but this was my first real attempt at swimming freestyle, probably ever. And like any good aspiring athlete, I watched so many YouTube videos about this, and they were all totally correct on the things I was going to struggle with. My hips were dropping, my kick was floppy, my pull and recovery, and all these things about my stroke. They were all super sloppy. But the main thing that I wanted to get better at was just being comfortable in the water. I've done some surfing and I feel comfortable getting pounded by waves, but it's another thing to be totally out of breath, forcing yourself to keep your face in the water versus having the waves to do it for you. Luckily, I have a secret weapon, my girlfriend, who used to be a swim coach, and I think she understood the assignment of me just getting comfortable in the water because she didn't absolutely light me up for my stroke and what was going wrong, which I appreciated. She also took all these clips. And after completing a few 50-meter laps, I saw a log kind of out in the distance. It looked like it was probably about 100 meters away, and in the spirit of doing something that scared me, I decided I had to swim to it. So, after sitting on the shore and being embarrassed about filming myself doing something I'm bad at in front of probably 30 families, I embarked out for the log. And it was pretty amazing how the first 50 meters felt great. I felt like I was gliding through the water better, I was pretty warm, I was having a good time, and so I swam and swam until it felt like I had been going for at least, 100, 150 meters towards this log. So I popped my head up, checked my watch, boom, 86 meters. And I'm not even there yet. So I made it to the log though. It was really fun getting to ride that thing. I don't think it was attached to the bottom, it was kind of floating up and down. And yeah, it took a little break. It felt so good to complete that first milestone of making it 100 meters, but then I had to make it back. So the swim back was a different story. There was definitely some drinking of lake water happening. I was probably swimming at more of a 45-degree angle than flat with the water, but I was powering through. That was 200 meters-ish completed. Definitely some doggy paddle, definitely some breaststroke, but I felt pretty comfortable the whole time. I didn't feel like I was going to drown, and that was the goal. So swimming to the log, calling that one a win. 7 out of 10 win. Boom. Unfortunately, after swimming to the log, I was very cold. This is Washington, and even though it is summertime, the water is still quite cold, so we called it a day on the swimming. And I think a secondary goal for this training is to make it as fun as possible. I'm balancing this training with a job and with trying to have a social life and all these things. So turning this open water swim adventure into a camping trip and then also a little bit of a fishing trip was super ideal. And while I was fishing, I thought to myself, what would be a step above what I just did? And what immediately came to mind was an early morning swim back out to the log. It'll be quiet on the water, it should be flatter, it's gonna be colder, but my muscles will be fresher. I really didn't want to do that because the air temps in the morning were in the low 60s or the 50s, and the water was probably a few degrees colder as well. But when you get an idea and you really don't want to do it, and therefore deep down you really should do it, and maybe even you have to do it, that is how I was feeling. So the next morning, I dragged my poor girlfriend Sam out of bed, and we went down to the lake. I didn't actually drag her, she was stoked. But we got down to the lake, and I was doing some pretty serious negotiating with myself. But I got in the water, and I started swimming towards the log. I felt like I was gliding even better through the water than the day before. And I swam and swam, and I actually made it all the way to the log without stopping or without feeling like I was gonna die. And I decided to go a little further and push it out to about 150 meters. And that felt like a bit of a gamble because I still had to go back. But luckily, having someone in a kayak next to you really makes things feel a lot safer. I don't think I would have done any of this without having someone in a kayak or having a buoy with me or something.
What a great morning swim. I really don't know if I've ever swum 300 meters kind of continuously like that. I guess 300 yards. But yeah, the air and water were like the same temperature. A little bit cold. So grateful to be out here training in nature. I would love to keep doing this instead of getting in a pool, but I'm really cold now and we haven't had breakfast. So thank you to Sam for riding in the kayak. I'm gonna go get some breakfast.
The swimming for the week is absolutely complete, and I'm gonna give that swim a 9 out of 10. It was beautiful. Accent pillow. So the second challenge of the weekend was getting absolutely bricked out in the hills near the lake. A brick workout is a bike ride and then a run. I regret to inform you, that didn't happen. Well, that was a very successful camping trip in terms of resetting from the week and getting some swim training in. And unfortunately, as some people on this trip have pointed out, I have tum-tum issues. So that mixed with the rain means we're gonna postpone the ride until either we get home today or tomorrow morning. So we drove back to the city and my tum-tum issues resolved themselves. All right. All right, biker Remy here. It is Sunday. We did not make it out biking yesterday. And you know what? That is perfectly okay. 50-minute bike and 10-minute run. That sounds really nice. See you out there. I ended up biking out about 25 or 26 minutes from my car and flipping around. And the stoke just kept building. And I ended up biking back to my car in under 23 minutes. So my bike ride ended up being about 47 minutes, which left me with 13 for a run. And the stoke just continued. You know, people in the parking lot were joking around about what kind of cars we were all driving and bike racks. And it was great to take like a nice easy transition and talk to people instead of just rushing around all the time. You know, after pushing it in the second half of the bike ride, I was pretty nervous about how my legs would feel on that run, but they felt great. It was just a good day. You know, I think the positive mental attitude really contributed to that.
All right, that is 0.66 miles in 6.5 minutes. That was like a 9:50 pace. Halfway. Yeah.
And that was my weekend. I had one goal: to scare myself, and I kind of immediately did that in the lake and kind of continued to do that as I pushed my swimming goals out there further and further. And I think part of the reason I chose scaring myself as the goal is because I've been feeling old lately. And, you know, after watching some more YouTube videos about that, it sounds like a great way to slow down time is to get out and have novel experiences and scare yourself. Do something new. Do something that gets you uncomfortable. And, you know, after a summer that's been absolutely flying by, I feel like this weekend really stands out as something that I will remember. And, you know, I'd be really curious. Drop a comment down below with what scares you in your life right now and how you're overcoming those fears. You know, moving forward, I would love to keep my training as adventure-oriented as possible. Getting out and spending time outside is so much better than going to the pool or being on the indoors Zwift trainer. So keep an eye out for more videos from me as I push the distances further on this training. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.